Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh, and at the moment we're revelling in lots of new Overwatch lore and story from Blizzcon 2017, including a new animated short. In this video, I'll round up what we've learnt lore-wise and can speculate with an analysis of the new animated short Honor and Glory. Alongside the announcement of new Talon geneticist, ex-Blackwatch hero Moira, we also got an awesome animated short where we've learnt a lot more about Reinhardt's Crusader days, more on his backstory, possible motivations and character too, as well as the Battle of Eichenwalde. Here's my story and lore analysis and reactions and first thoughts on this short. It contains spoilers of course, so do look away now if you need to watch it first, and then come back to the video to share your thoughts in the comments. Firstly, I'll summarise the plot of the short quickly before we move on to the analysis. We first travel to an abandoned Eichenwalde. Brigitte, his travelling companion, is attempting to persuade him that he doesn't have to answer the call of Overwatch that Winston has sent out. It's not his fight, given that Overwatch pushed him into retirement. Reinhardt has a flashback to one of his memories from the Battle of Eichenwalde, where he mocks his senior officer in the very same brewery for answering the call to a secret organisation. Taking his medallion back, Balderich, the leader of the Crusaders and Reinhardt's superior officer, says that it's an honour before omnics drop and the Bundeswehr spring into action. In the ensuing battle, we see Crusader teamwork in action, meeting some success, before we see the opposite in Reinhardt's reckless solo fighting while leaving his team without shield cover. Disobeying a direct order from Balderich, Reinhardt rushes in to fight an unfamiliar threat to the Crusaders, an OR-14, before discovering he's bitten off more than he can chew alone. Losing his eye to an energy blade, Reinhardt is down before Balderich comes to the rescue, but not without cost, as he sustains a huge injury from the OR-14's blade. Retreating to the rally point, Balderich commands Reinhardt to get back to protect his unit while he will hold the rest off. Reinhardt doesn't want his master to have all the glory, but then realises the tone of what he's saying, because he's dying. In his last words to Reinhardt, Balderich is still tutoring him kindly, saying the team needs him and to be their shield. Passing him the Overwatch medallion, Balderich seemingly nominates Reinhardt to take his place in answering that greater call. Sharing the motto, live with honour, die with glory, one final time, Reinhardt passes Balderich his hammer before going to shield the retreat of the team. While Balderich makes a glorious last stand indeed, Reinhardt helps his unit retreat before an airstrike helps secure their temporary safety. Finishing every last omnic in the castle, Balderich staggers to the seat of power in the castle, where the lights in his suit helmet dim, dying in the town where he was born and raised. Returning Balderich's Overwatch medallion next to his armour in the present day, after reflecting on his memories, Reinhardt explains to Brigitte that he's been called and must answer, always. Here's my main thoughts, analysis and reactions to the short. First things first, let's talk about Brigitte, or Brigitte. Now I've had different pronunciations of that in the past on Twitter, depending on whether you're going for a more Swedish way or the way that Reinhardt pronounces it. Now, we know she's Torbjorn's daughter, although it's been confirmed, I and lots of other people speculated about this from Reinhardt's very first comic, Dragon Slayer, where Brigitte was introduced. She uses Torbjorn's hammer, and of course has lots of engineering skills like Torbjorn's. In Reflections, the comic last Christmas, we saw Torbjorn's family scene there, with Reinhardt around and Brigitte standing over Reinhardt's shoulder as he reads a story to Torbjorn's children. In the Uprising event, we got a spray that shows Torbjorn and Brigitte together, which seemingly sealed the deal. Finally coming to this short, she says, "Papa told me," talks a lot about Overwatch, and Michael Chu actually confirmed this on Twitter, just so no one was in any further doubt. A nice little detail, Brigitte is also wearing an ironclad, or what we think to be an ironclad tattoo, the gears, and she shares that with Torbjorn and his ironclad skin. Now, Ironclad is a guild, presumably of engineers. Torbjorn had some days with them, worked with them in the past, and he did a ton of research and development with them, including the creation of various different kinds of mech, one of which was the Titan that we see in his comic Destroyer, although of course in that comic it's been adapted a bit more from its original purpose of making skyscrapers. So it seems like father like daughter, and Brigitte has not only gone into the family business of engineering in a way, but also joined the Ironclad Guild. If you want to see Brigitte in action, go and have a look at Reinhardt's comic Dragon Slayer. You can see her being his fixer and squire, repairing his armour, helping him, looking after him, as well as helping him with local intelligence as they try and battle threats as Reinhardt and Brigitte are travelling around Germany right now. Now, Reinhardt was mandatorily made to retire by Overwatch because he got old, in their opinion. We don't know if there were any other reasons behind that, but that's the reason for Brigitte saying what she's saying to Reinhardt. Her dad, Torbjorn, has clearly told her that Reinhardt was kind of pushed out, and that of course tallies up with Rein's website biography. As we go into the flashback, we see a lot about Reinhardt's younger character and how it changes throughout the short. Now, starting off, Reinhardt's hair. Well, it's described as amazing by himself when he remembers a poster, and it's certainly something. He loves the wind in it too, apparently. Now, Reinhardt's younger, pre this battle character is certainly full of individuality, dreams of glory, a romantic vision of it and what it represents, and certainly a lot of rashness. He thinks that Balderich is disappearing into a secret organisation and giving up the glory of the Crusaders as the immortal defenders of Germany. They'll be singing songs of our legacies. You can see he's very much got a medieval, knight-esque, classical, romantic view of their role. Reinhardt is stealing people's beers, carving his name into the bar that of course you can see in the attacking spawn of Eichenwalde. When Balderich says that it's time to fight and that people need to get with their teams, the soldiers that Reinhardt winks at don't seem to be too happy to be fighting with him, and we very quickly see why. As Balderich and fellow Crusaders team up and protect infantry to take down bastion units, Reinhardt is going off on a big charge, literally of his own. As Balderich tells him to get back and protect his team, Reinhardt actually disobeys a direct order from a superior officer and says they're just slowing me down and besides they're fine. They are not fine from looking at them. Reinhardt actually, because of this reckless attitude, loses his eye. He underestimates the new OR-14s. I like the fact that they're given a plasma sword here. We weren't even expecting that as watchers familiar with the game, and of course that was very popular with Orisa players. Back to Reinhardt, he doesn't wear a helmet that may have protected him from this blow to his eye, and again that's another note or just a visual symbol of his risky character. As Balderich comes to save him, this sets off the chain of events that gets Reinhardt's commander eventually killed perhaps. I jump into all of this now because later in the sort we can see the development in Reinhardt's change in character. Next up, moving on to Balderich. Well, at the beginning of the short, Reinhardt is holding the same medallion, which is clearly a summons or invitation to Overwatch, as Balderich takes back from him in his memory. We probably infer from this that Balderich's replacement was Reinhardt. Had Balderich not died, Reinhardt wouldn't have joined Overwatch most probably. Balderich says it's a great honour to serve Overwatch, and opposed to Reinhardt's more individual view of glory, he says that our legacies are our deeds, and this war is bigger than all of us. We see a bit of Balderich as a leader. As the omnics come in, he says, they're playing our song, stick with your dance partners. Now, whether it's intentional or not, it's a nice kind of tie to Rein's dancing emote there. And with his words, you can clearly see that his squad are pretty inspired. In rescuing Reinhardt, Balderich takes an energy sword to the side, and we actually see him kind of bleeding blue towards the end as Reinhardt sees that Balderich is probably not going to make it out alive. Now, of course, this is probably fluid or coolant from the suit, but it's also quite a nice play potentially on the idea of Balderich being nobility with blue blood, or sangre azul in my butchered Spanish pronunciation. Now, this idea from medieval times was that common people would have to work outside all day, and therefore they'd get darker coloured, maybe tan skin. The wealthy, on the other hand, could spend all day inside if they wanted to, which would keep their skin pale, as we were talking, of course, about fair-skinned Europeans in medieval times, and this would make their wrist veins visible with blue blood a lot more easily, hence the term. Now, if that's the touch, then it's a really, really nice little reference. We see Balderich as being a real master to Reinhardt, and a real mentor as well. When Reinhardt doesn't want to leave him alone, when Balderich is about to make his last stand, Balderich tells Reinhardt the team needs him and to be their shield. Even though he's about to die, and Reinhardt disobeyed his direct orders earlier, he's still mentoring him and teaching him. The final lesson: keep his oath as a Crusader, protect his team. And even in Reinhardt's interactions with Winston, we can see that he kept this lesson and took it on board.
Winston! It's up to us to keep our comrades safe!
Sharing the motto, live with honour, die with glory, one final time, Balderich slips Reinhardt the Overwatch token before donning his helmet for his final glorious stand. This short was also pretty cool because we saw a lot of Crusaders in battle. First up, a lot of you noticed the Lady Crusader there, and of course we have Colonel Balderich, so quite a senior figure. As they start fighting the Omnics, we hear him say, "We work as one," showing their attitude and their tactics. They have an oath as well, as Balderich and Reinhardt discuss. Balderich is giving commands and providing the shield wall for infantry to work behind. The Crusaders do this with some success as the rockets take out the bastion units. It also shows a very big contrast to Reinhardt's approach, charging around, attacking everything very foolhardily. Now obviously we'd seen this before, but it's nice to see a couple of details in the short of the rocket hammer control and the Crusader suit charge control. Just before Balderich tries to take out some of the OR-14s, you see an additional little flare behind his hammer as if he's giving it extra energy for the slam downwards. And Reinhardt, in skeeting around a lot with his charge, using it multiple times. He's using a lot of directional control on the charge function of his suit here. Clearly he doesn't have cooldown on his charge ability here. As well as the Crusaders in battle, we see Omnics in battle again in the First Omnic Crisis, and alongside the last Bastion it's a little bit more video footage of them in action, as it were. Firstly you have the advanced unit of the Bastions, kind of the foot soldiers. You then see them later mixed up with tank mode Bastions shelling away, and these OR-14s dropping in. Now note that the German soldiers were surprised to see the OR-14s and didn't really recognise them. Maybe they hadn't been used in the Omnic Crisis or War up until that point, or maybe this was the first time they'd been used in Germany. Now, an OR-14 cannon isn't a bad weapon to break down a Crusader shield. Perhaps it's an evolution of Omnic tactics specifically to fight against the Crusaders in Germany, or who knows, maybe they were used elsewhere. Now, look at the OR-14 here. Its 4 legs make it a very stable base. It can actually hold back Reinhardt's charge, so that's quite a sensible adaptation. The melee weapon lets it go toe-to-toe with a Crusader, and it has a big shield-busting cannon. So if you look at the package, as it were, of an OR-14, it's not a bad Crusader counter in many different ways. Finally, at the end we see the airstrikes coming in. We've seen these in the last Bastion, and these are the thing that saves or enables the team to withdraw or to have their retreat covered in the end. And last but not least, Reinhardt answering the call. We move from the brewery into the castle, and Rein does have a line on Eichenwalde saying that he'll reclaim his master's armour. Maybe this is that little pilgrimage he's taken, reflecting on it after seeing Winston's recall message. Saying to Brigitte, "I've been called, I must answer always," and leaving the token or coin on Balderich's seat. Reinhardt's going to rejoin Overwatch, and remember of course that's illegal right now, as Overwatch activity is forbidden by the Petrus Act. So it looks as though that Reinhardt's going to join potentially May, Tracer and Winston, and perhaps Genji, depending on which side he decided to pick at the end of Dragons, we would assume Overwatch, in reforming the band and getting them back together. But how these guys are going to operate and what they're going to do, who knows? Can't wait to find out. Thanks very much for tuning into my animated short analysis. If you enjoyed this, do throw a like or subscribe, comment with what you thought of the short in the comments below. Do check out all my other BlizzCon 2017 videos with all of the Overwatch news, including Moira, her hero lore, updates on new maps and skins coming to Overwatch, and summaries of the panels, more of which I'm going to be putting up in the coming days. And if you're new to the channel and like Overwatch lore, story, and voice lines interactions and more, do check out my playlists here. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.